Everyone, welcome to the Moga Bar Show. With me, I have a very special guest, Danny Karon. He is the lovable lawyer. He is the person you didn't know you needed. He brings us into a new way of thinking about our mental health and well-being overall, because believe it or not, although this is not legal advice, but it's legal-esque, this is very much centered around your mental health. Like, this helps you. I know firsthand that this helps you. Danny, thank you for joining me. Welcome to the show.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me. I like how you put it at the beginning, and I put it that way too. I'm the guy you don't know you need. I'm kind of like the iPod of wellness, where you were fine without it, but once you have it, boy, aren't you glad you do.
I
And
mean,
kind
it's
of
just, you think about everything that we do. We have therapists for mental health. We have financial advisors. We have accountants. We
Mhm.
have doctors, neurologists to specialize on, specific cases, cardiologists, et cetera, et cetera. I can go on,
Mhm.
but we don't have lawyers. We don't have legal advice. A lot of employments, they offer EAP, employee assistance programs, or some variation of it, which sort of include some sort of legal advice if you're going through a divorce. But like you and I were talking last week, it's always centered around something happening. It's never proactive. It's always reactive.
Right.
Oh,
If you consider medicine and preventative care and wellness-based treatments to get ahead of the wellness curve, physicals used to not be covered. Now they are. Diabetes checks used to not be covered. Now they are, because the medical profession wants to keep people from getting sick. And you're right. The only time you ever wind up talking to a lawyer is after something has happened and after everything's fallen apart and you're in the tumult and chaos of a real legal problem. And that needn't happen a lot of the time. With a little bit of aptitude, a little bit of awareness, the kind of an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure mentality, where if you have somebody telling you, suggesting to you, advising, what your rights and remedies are out there, maybe when you come up against something, you'll think, you know what, I can actually handle that, or I can avoid that and not have to deal with it at all. That's just as important, what not to do. So I wanted
how
to fill that space.
Yeah, how do we do that? I mean, for the record, for those that don't know, I will put this in the show notes. Danny has an amazing YouTube channel, The Lovable Lawyer. He has a website up, and if you haven't seen it, you're going to want to see it,
Oh, thank you.
because he gives you so much tidbits in a very entertaining way. Because a lot of you, if you're like me, you don't understand legalese, and you're just really deaf, dumb, and blind to that world, and you don't know what you don't know. Some of us think like,
Right.
yeah, we know,
And
we
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 and
know.
we avoid legalese because, boy, the last person you want to run up against is a lawyer. You love your lawyer, but boy, you don't want to have to hire one, and you certainly don't like the other guy's lawyer. So why act like one? Why talk like one? I often hear you don't act, look, feel, seem like a lawyer, which I take as high praise because I deal with them every day. So trust me, I can do without a lot of them too. I'll tell you what inspired yourlovablelawyer.com. Not the, but your possessive you. It's someone you need to pay
Yeah.
mind to and listen to. Yourlovablelawyer.com. I do a lot of teaching, and I've been in practice for about 30 years representing consumers. And I saw that there is a lot of uncertainty and lack of aptitude and awareness out there as it concerns people's legal rights. So I took a look at the daytime call, the TV and internet landscape, and saw a few things. I observed that there's a lot of physical and emotional wellness content out there. Say, Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil teaching us how to be safe and sound in our minds and bodies. There's also, like you mentioned, a lot of financial wellness content out there. Think Jim Cramer, Susie Orman, how to set up an IRA for yourself, a 529 for your kids. But where it comes to that third essential bucket, the legal wellness bucket, which wellness affects so much of your finances and personal and emotional and physical being, there's really nothing out there except for these trumped up exploitative courtroom shows. Judge Judy, Hot Bench, Judge Mathis, good shows to be sure, but they show up after things have already fallen apart. So I wanted to slide the dial back and engage people and educate people before things get bad. So for instance, look at COVID. I mean, talk about a fertile territory. there's all this uncertainty involving people's legal rights concerning COVID, such as, let's say you're driving your kid to soccer practice and coach says, crack the window, you roll it down this much when COVID was really bad, and slips in a piece of paper and says, sign this, or Susie, Billy in the back can't practice with the team. And you're like, I don't know what this is. He hands you a pen and you're like, I don't know what I'm signing. And what did I just give away? What rights did I sacrifice? I have no idea what this is. All I know is that he's crying in the back, she's crying in the back, and I got to get to work. So COVID waivers, you don't have to sign them. You don't have to accept the terms necessarily if they're heavy-handed. Relatedly, how about PPE issues at work? You work at a fast food restaurant. You work at a meat processing plant. You're feeling things are a little too close for comfort. What duties and obligations does your employer owe you? What rights do you have to make sure you have a safe and a comfortable workspace? That's another concern. I'll give you a third one, actually. Higher education cases in the wake of COVID. Let's say you've got a kid in college. The college shuts down. You're distance learning. You're learning, but it's not what you bargained for, is it? It is or it isn't. Maybe, who knows? We'll talk about it, right? It's a discussion. But I'll tell you, as it concerns, say, the school's technology fees for the computer lab, as it concerns the health center fees for the health center that's locked up, as it concerns the athletic fees for the sports teams that aren't even playing, you get those costs back. There are a lot of higher education cases. And that's just one thin slice of our daily existence, of our world, as it concerns legal aptitude, awareness, wellness, what to do, what issues to raise to see whether you want to talk to somebody or have an issue or a problem that might need fixing or might result in getting you money back.
What do I do? I'm Joe Blow. I'm the guy that needs you. I'm the guy that needs to understand, needs to know. I have, let's say I have a daughter in college. I don't. But let's say that I have a daughter in college. And I need to know. I need to understand this. What am
Mhm.
I
Sure.
what do I do? Like, where do I go?
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a real life example. This literally happened last week. My daughter lives in Washington, D.C. She was she was kicked out of her apartment for 3 days because they had a water main break, and the entire place was shut down. It resulted in 330 units tenants, and it's not just young kids like her. It's families, it's elderly, it's caring for elderly people, people with families with kids. Runs the whole gamut. She was displaced for 3 days. Hotels, Ubers, all this stuff, and the building was just meting out these tepid emails, not really being all that informative concerning what's wrong. Finally, at the end, when they fixed it, they said, it's fixed. We're grateful for your patience. This will be your last correspondence concerning the issue. I don't think so. What rights does she have? A lot of people aren't doing anything, figuring it's over, I'm back, it happened. It doesn't happen. It's negligent. There's an insurance policy. There's coverage for that. They owe a duty to people to live up to the lease folks signed. There's what's called the implied warranty of habitability, which is to say when you're kicked out of your apartment or house because it's rendered uninhabitable, whether it's because of water, rats, who knows what, you have a remedy in that, your consequential damages, your Uber, your hotel, your whatever else. She needs to make a claim, and they need to set up a process through which people can claim for their out-of-pocket expenses and the time out of possession of their apartments. What would people who live in that building want to do, need to do? Come to the website, hear me talk about what I just did in the form of a video that's 90 seconds, and suddenly they know, you know what? I don't have to take this sitting down, standing up, or any other way. I can write a letter. I know what themes to express. I know what rights I have, generally speaking. I know that I might need a lawyer. I know that I could perhaps go to small claims
Mhm.
court. But what I most importantly know is that I do not need to do nothing and let them keep my money for what they did wrong to me.
And I think that's something that's so key, what you just said. I know that I need to not do nothing, which is the mentality of a lot of people, especially people without the means or the access. They think that they have
Oh,
absolutely no recourse. Just,
it really
as
is.
an example, myself, I told you 2013, 2014, my identity was stolen, and they
Hmm.
I had a court order and they put a freeze on my account. We found out when
Hmm.
the letter came from our bank saying we had a freeze on our account and we couldn't access our money. And it was like my mind was blown, my wife's mind was blown. We were looking at each other like, what the hell just happened? And, we had no idea. So I had no idea what to do. I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just lose my money.
Mhm.
I have a mortgage to pay. I have bills. I have responsibilities. I have a family. I knew that I had to do something, but I had no idea what to do. I was talking to one of my friends at
Mhm.
work, and he was like, "Hey, my identity was stolen," and he sort of walked me through what to do. He helped me out a lot, so I knew what to do.
Right. Well, equally scary is when something happens that you're not aware of. Kind of like when you're talking to somebody and they think you said something, but you didn't really say it, but you don't know that they think you really said it, and there's just a
Yeah,
disconnect, and you'll never know from what adverse thing just happened to
yeah,
you, and that happens all the
and that's
time.
the thing.
I mean, I can think of
Yeah,
examples.
people don't know.
Let's say it's your cell phone contract, and there's a secret chart. There were these universal service fee cases back in the I think 90s or so, where these USF charges were extra little sweeteners added to cell phone bills that largely meant nothing. And people don't think twice about questioning their pro forma bills. But you know what? If you take another look, there might be something or two in there that shouldn't be, and you raise an issue from it because you have a little bit of raised awareness, heightened awareness, and suddenly it's something perhaps worth going after. Now, you might not want to go after it. That's your
Mhm.
choice, but it's all about choice. And if you are
At least you have
informed
the
and
knowledge.
your decisions nothing, it's fine too.
Nice.
Just so long as it's from a place of suitable education.
So education, which you've done a great part of, you've taught at the Ohio State University and Michigan. You were at Columbia for a long time before you moved to the Midwest. Um, Education is very big with you, and I see that, like, from watching your videos. I mean, no, I'm not qualified to be a lawyer, but I do feel slightly smarter. Um, no, it's good stuff, and again, you do it in a very entertaining way, which attracts a lot of people because
Well,
people don't retain knowledge in the traditional way anymore, and your videos aren't too long. How did you come up with the concept to do the videos and do it in the way that
sure.
you do it with the green screen and everything, which I love, by the way. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's a lot of fun. I have been teaching for a long time. Like you said, I started at Columbia Law School, and the commute was a bit much. I'm in the Midwest, I'm in Cleveland. So flying to New York every week became a little taxing. If had you asked me during weeks 1 through 3 what I thought of it, I would have told you it was great getting to New York all the time. By weeks 11, 12, 13, I wanted to jump off the George Washington Bridge. It was horrible, and delays and getting stranded in crappy Jamaica,
Yeah.
hotel rooms near LaGuardia. It was the worst. I needed something a little more accessible. So I ended up getting hired, not to be glib, you don't just get hired. It was kind of hard, but I pushed it. I tried really hard and I got the job at Michigan. And I also teach at the Ohio State University. So I alternate years. So for anybody with an aptitude for Big Ten sports, it just goes to show Ohio State and Michigan can coexist. So I try to make my lessons fun and engaging and entertaining. And in addition to those outlets, for the American Bar Association for 13 years, up to just a couple of weeks ago, I chaired this big class action law program called the National Institute on Class Actions, which is the nation's leading class action program for federal judges and lawyers and professors. And I took it over 13 years ago, and that was enough after 13 years. And when it started, as good a program as it was, it resembled a lot of the other continuing education content and programming out there that we all tend to see. Panel discussions, little placards, text dense PowerPoints, talking heads in navy and gray suits in front of these things. I mean, within the first 3 minutes, if not 3 seconds, you're on your iPhone. You just want to, you can't take it anymore. So I committed to make it more lively and fun and fresh and innovative and ingenuitive and memorable and enduring versus the tepid, vapid, thoughtless, antiseptic, pro forma drivel that had been peddled there and elsewhere and still is, in so many fora around the country, if not
Yeah.
the world. So I've been writing plays and doing mock oral arguments and mock mediations and talk shows and game shows and fun content just to keep things really fresh because you got to capture your
Mhm.
audience. I was a speech and rhetorical theory major, so I know we studied how to put on a show, how to put on a presentation. You got to catch folks and keep them more so now than ever because the attention span is so fleeting. And when that all channels into my videos, 90 seconds is the longest I want to make them. Sometimes they go a little longer, like I did a Friday the 13th one, and came into 254 because there was so much there, and I really tried to cut it down. but I will continue to do better because there is always a way to take out. It's not like cooking. It's just as easy to take
Yeah.
out. So I'll take out, and I want to be irreverent in my approach and have a lot of fun with it, but take the subject matter very seriously because it's serious stuff, but it doesn't get anybody's attention unless you kind of hook them,
Yeah, and
catch them from the get go,
honestly,
and
it
talk
got
to
my
them.
attention, and it is fun to
Thank
listen
you.
to it because it's I pay more attention, like, I like everyone, know of the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial. Do I
Yeah.
do I know what's going on? No, not at all. I know that there's a trial going on. I know he's suing her, she's
Hmm.
countersuing him. I know that they're going back and forth. He testified first, now she's testifying. They took a week off, et cetera, et cetera. But I like the way that you broke it down. You broke it down to
But
sorry, go ahead.
no, no,
No,
please.
I mean,
I'm a
you
talker.
broke because I'm like, okay, what's at the crux of the matter? What's the the underlying factor? How does one this
Right.
isn't a murder trial, so it's not like how do you prove that he was defamed by her? It's all these things, questions that I have, and really like the way you broke it down with the 3 or 4 points. I'm sorry, I can't remember right now.
Yeah, I remember.
That
I
he
remember.
needs to prove, or his defense team needs to prove, because he's not the one actually
What
arguing.
you put it so well because so much of the YouTube content out there centers around the sensationalistic aspect of the trial. What the psychologist or she's not even a psychiatrist, but the psychologist had to say about Amber Heard and how good looking the psychologist is, the body language issues, what Amber Heard did to his side of the bed, all this stuff. And people walk away thinking, wow, this is some sort of domestic abuse trial. Well, no, it's not. It's a defamation case that he brought against her with a counterclaim against him. And there are certain elements or things that somebody has to prove to maintain or win their defamation case. And there's a degree by which they need to prove them. It's either by a preponderance of the evidence or beyond a reasonable doubt if it's a criminal trial. And what the heck do those terms mean? So the elements or the things or the points of proof have to channel through the legal standard. And that's why they're actually in the courtroom. And nothing online I've
Not at
seen
all.
breaks it down that way. It's all just
Not at all.
lowbrow, poppy cultural kind of stuff. And I try to get fun with
Absolutely,
it,
and you did a great
but
job.
teach a
You did
lesson.
a great job because whenever and it's funny because I was telling my wife, this weekend when we were driving, I had the radio on and they talked about the trial, and there was like, the radio host, radio DJ was like, "So what do you think?" Asking his other co-host, like, "What do you think? Did
Mhm.
Johnny Depp abuse her or not?" And then I remember thinking, I'm like, "Babe, you need to check out this YouTube channel, of Danny Karon." I was like, and she knows it. She knows it as well that it's not about domestic abuse, the
Mhm.
specific trial. Whether it did or didn't, that's another conversation. But I'm like,
Yeah.
this is about defamation. It's like people are
And you
are
know what?
missing the point of what's going on.
And you picked up on that, obviously. And what I try to do is build in a discernible beginning, middle,
Mhm.
and end to every video so that you're hooked at the beginning. You understand there's a lesson that you're going to be taught in a fun way that applies to you. And you walk out of there either being smarter or knowing you need to do something or knowing what to leave alone or whatever. And as it concerns the defamation video, you're probably not going to get sued for defamation. But you know what? On a pop culture level, now you know what's going on. So you can hold that
Yeah.
conversation and have some special aptitude that others might not. But also, personally, you do know what defamation involves and what not to do to people and what not to say about folks. Because you know what? If you do, you could be the next
Yeah.
one. And I kind of addressed the Will Smith, Chris Rock issue the same way, where people are talking about the slap and this and that, and what's Jada going to
Yeah.
do, and what's it going to mean for what consequence in Hollywood with the Academy. I talked about it in terms of assault and battery and the fact that they are two different claims. Assault is different from battery. They channel through state
Mhm.
law, in that case, California. Will he be prosecuted? Why not? Will there be a civil case? Why not? And then I got out. 90
And I
seconds.
think
Now you know about assault
and
and
I love
battery.
it because I love the fact that it is you give people too much, they lose it. You give them not enough,
Yep.
they don't still don't know, and they're back where they started.
Yeah.
So I love that you're doing this. And I honestly I love this part. You are already a teacher, so you just continue to that. You're teaching again, just in a different medium. Um,
That's right. I'm grading final this weekend or next this week. I was supposed to have started this weekend. I did not yet.
it's all right. We're all allowed a weekend, so.
Yeah.
um, but what's next for you? You have your website, you have your YouTube content. I really feel like this is like I personally feel like this is the evolution. You're creating a new law bracket, a
Mm.
new like law vertical, if you will. Like I'm your pre-law, like your pre-need lawyer. I have no idea what the term would be, but I'm the
Uh-huh.
lawyer you need before you actually need a
Mhm.
lawyer.
Well, I'm glad you put it that way because when I got the idea of putting content out there via short video in a fun, fun way, fun formatting, the first thing, of course, was to see whether somebody was in that space. And we'll go back to what I said a moment ago. I saw a lot of physical and emotional wellness content, a lot of financial wellness content. Where it came to law, I saw the silly kind of, they're not silly, they're just different genre, law related shows. But I'm like, who else out there trying to add value, raise awareness, give wellness, help people avoid problems? And I didn't really see anything at all on YouTube. I saw a little bit on TikTok, but not the problem, the difference between my brand and TikTok is so jagged and jarring and slashing and, all this kind of like in your face stuff. And my standard was, if CNN wants somebody to come on air to talk about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, or about maybe it's not big news out east, but the Ohio State sex abuse case with the doctor who molested all those wrestlers, which is my case. I don't think somebody with a TikTok channel is going to has that kind of
Mhm.
credibility. So I wanted to stay away from that medium. Besides, I didn't think the short form, super short form, was sufficient to capture what I was trying to
Mhm.
create. So um, I saw that there was that opening, and I wanted to fill it with something meaningful because what really drives my purpose is after having done what I've done for so long, I did observe that there's this, call it societal bias against access to justice, where people who deserve it the most tend to get it the least. And that means our friends and neighbors who don't have this aptitude or awareness or know to question or know to push back or know to call a lawyer or have a friend or a family member who's a lawyer, they don't know they have an issue. If they have one, they don't know how to resolve it. If they can have an idea for what to do, they don't know who to help implement that resolution. They don't know how to find a lawyer, much less pay for a lawyer. They're just kind of left out there unrepresented and unfulfilled. And it's not really fair because I think legal wellness is a right like every other right that people deserve to have. And where I can fill it in an easy, accessible, fun, and free
Mhm.
way, that I wanted to do.
So is this in, we have corporate law, we have mergers and acquisitions, we have criminal law, we have all these different variations of the law with different, rules, regulations, codes, etc. That things that I'm probably just making up because I don't know. But are we going to have a new are we going to have a wellness law? Is because I really like
Mm.
it's needed. Honestly, it's needed. This is something like, okay, relax, bring your temperature down. You're good. You're good. Not, the world's not over. You're good. Like I could have used that woosah moment many years ago. I
Uh-huh.
and I know there's a lot of people that could still use it, whether they're going through divorce,
Oh
housing
yeah.
issues, the education issue. I know there's a lot of people that could use that sort of calm down. Like this is what you
Yeah.
prepared for. Just calm down.
That's a clever idea. I don't know that it'll turn into a practice area per se because it's just kind of a theme or a
Mhm.
mentality that affects or pervades all different types of needs, whether it's a criminal need, a civil need, a bankruptcy need, a divorce need, wills and trusts need, whatever. But if there can be counsel available to help people prepare for the eventual needs they have or avoid pitfalls related to
Yeah.
those areas, that's what I'm after. You don't see that
Okay.
anywhere.
So what do we do? How do we get started? How do we make people aware? You've done a good job, but there's still so many more people that don't know what they don't know. They don't know what they need. They think they know what they want,
Right.
but most of the time they don't really know that either.
Yeah. Doesn't
Um,
everyone?
so I'm one of those people. But it's what do we do? Like how do we as much as I'd love to think that my podcast is going to be that far reaching and have that huge impact in people's lives, don't know
Hmm.
about that. Um, you know, is like, what do we
Right.
do to make people aware of, hey, you have your doctor, you have your financial advisor, you have your accountant that does your taxes, or you go to H&R Block, whatever your situation may be. Um,
Hmm.
this is part of it. Like, this is a part of your overall well-being.
Well, that's my challenge. I'm the one trying to send the message, and I'm trying to get it out as broadly as I can. I'm
Mhm.
learning a lot about this space, about social media, and that it's unforgiving. There is a lot of clutter infecting eyes and ears out there, worthless,
That is true.
useless, unproductive dribble, and we all know what it is. And I'm not it yet. It's tough to take your eyes away from a lot of the stuff that people are watching. So, how do
Mhm.
you become better known? How do you work the algorithm on YouTube and Facebook to facilitate viewership? And it comes with, either organically, where you build brand like this, or you pay to play a little bit and you start paying for, what are they called? Paying for uh,
Marketing
market.
or
Yeah, there's a word for it. I'm not the expert yet.
yeah, me
Campaigns. You pay
neither.
for campaigns on YouTube and Facebook,
Yeah,
and they'll boost your content so that you'll see more eyes, and there's a better possibility that it'll take off. Trying to get on TV, great podcasts like yours to spread the worthwhile message of legal
thank you.
wellness to keep people safe and sound, and put it all together. And God willing, one day it'll turn into a show. That's kind of my goal.
Absolutely.
The legal doctor odds,
No,
or maybe Dr. Phil,
they
or maybe neither. Maybe just the legal me.
yeah, legal you. Or the legal Oprah, actually,
Yeah,
better
there you
than
go.
Dr.
Nobody could
Phil.
object to
It's
that.
like
The legal Oprah. I
yeah,
like that.
legal Oprah. No, this is excellent. I'm excited to see what you're gonna do. I
Oh,
almost
thank
feel like,
you.
if I was qualified to, sign up for one of your courses at Columbia or the Ohio State
Oh,
University, I would. It's like I almost wanna be there because I wanna see, like, what else it is that
oh,
you're
thank
how
you.
you're teaching your students. Because I really do think that this is something that's so valuable. It's like people talk about financial health, and people do prepare or try to prepare now their kids for, being financially savvy,
Hmm.
being financially independent, to know what to do, what not to do. It's like
Yeah,
you try. And try as we may, we still need those experts.
isn't
But
it
now this
funny?
is sort of
Well, sorry, please, because you made me think
no,
of
no, no, no.
something.
Go ahead.
Oh, but you're right. So I've got a couple. They're not, younger. 20, not so young, 24 and 20 tomorrow. Actually, kids. And you want to impart as much financial wellness, health aptitude on them, in them as you can. And we have somebody who helps and this and that. And families do it all over the country and world. Set up a 520 or an IRA, or see if your work has a
Mhm.
401k. Do they have matching or whatever? But boy, you don't have anybody getting together with you never see people getting together with their kids and a lawyer and talking about, okay,
No.
here's what you're going to run into out in the real world. You're going to have insurance
Yeah.
issues. You're going to have rent issues. You're going to have vendor issues where it concerns your cell phone, your cable company, whatever. You got to look for this, that, and the other thing. Small print on the back, arbitration clauses, what they mean to you, what rights you're giving up, why that's legal under the law these days. It is endless. There are so many issues related to the human body, but the human body
Mhm.
is finite. Law just expands and fills every space and every nook and cranny, and the issues are endless. Look at look at the abortion opinion about to come out of the Supreme Court. Everybody thought they'd seen every angle related to abortion. Justice Alito took it some original way based on some medieval text from like the 13th century. That's a new conversation worth having. Who could have imagined abortion would transform or go off into that tangent? The law is endless, like roots just
Yeah.
affecting every aspect of your life.
And there's so much changing now because with different technologies, I mean, who would have thought that we would have needed internet privacy or
Mm-hmm.
online privacy laws back in the 80s and 90s? That wasn't sort of a conversation that we were having. And now we have to consider online privacies, which you have
Oh
a
my
video on,
God.
I believe, or and
Mm-hmm.
so many different things,
Privacy cases are rampant. There's a ton of
it,
privacy related litigation. I'm involved in
you
some of
know,
them, whether it relates to your credit card or your
yeah,
hacking an account at a hospital, or junk calls or texts or faxes. I mean, it's just
yes.
everybody's invading everyone's privacy for self gain, and there are claims, and you can bring. to preserve your rights. And I've got some videos on privacy.
Yeah, no, it's I you don't, again, you don't know what you don't know,
Yeah, right.
and
You
I
don't.
would have never thought to, speak to my children or anyone about, "Hey, let's talk to a lawyer about this." It's like, let's
Yeah.
what do we so it's like, okay, now the question becomes, what lawyer do you talk to? What conversation? Who do I go to?
Mhm.
Do I go to just any lawyer? Do I go to Jacoby and Myers on call them
You're
up?
right.
It's like, what do I do?
Well, it's funny. I have a video on how to find a lawyer too. It depends on the
There you
market, your
go.
need, your price point, whether it's a contingent fee
Yeah.
case or an hourly retention. There are a lot of considerations that go into it, but if you don't have the factors laid out so that you know what to think through and where to start your research, you don't know where to start your research. And I talk
Mhm.
about that. So I'd like to
And
become kind of a one-stop portal for wellness
yeah.
issues related to legal concerns, themes, problems, all those
And
things.
And there we go again. It's about educating
Yeah.
yourself. Everything you do in life, you're going to educate yourself. When you're buying a house, or actually when you're buying a car, better example, when you're buying a car, you test drive it.
Mhm.
Although I guess these days you can buy online
Yeah,
without even
right.
test driving it, but that's another conversation. I test drive the cars preferably.
Mhm.
You're buying a house, you go, you view it. When you make an offer, you have an inspector come inspect the house, and et cetera, all those other things. You have a video on buying a house, making sure people read their documents.
Yeah,
Um,
right. Right.
and buying a house is it's a lot. It's involved, and I know that
Or
there's different
selling a
laws in
house.
different states.
They don't
Selling
bank
a
on
house
your
as
having
well.
any aptitude for what's in that big, thick stack of documents with the yellow tabs. They hand you a pen and tell you to sign. You you
Yes.
can't imagine the number of hidden charges that are buried in there that the principals keep at the expense of the
Yeah.
parties. Oh my God!
Yeah. No, I've gone through that a couple of times, and yeah,
You want to
we've
hear
I've
one that comes to mind? This happened to me. There was a charge when we were selling a house, and we were going to receive the payoff amount. And one of the boxes said, "Do you want to receive it via FedEx, $19, or wire transfer, $25?" And both boxes were checked. And I'm like, wait a minute, it can only be one or the other. Why would I be paying for both methods of transfer? And my agent said, "Oh, I don't know." I said, "Better yet, uncheck them both. Just send a regular mail. It's 27 cents or whatever it was back in the day." He said, "Oh, okay."
yeah.
And there you go. That's 50 bucks I didn't need to spend. Happens everywhere all
Oh
the
my
time.
god. And honestly, it does, and it's sort of, I understand that it's like they overwhelm you with too much information to just make you flustered and wanna get it over
Yep.
with. I have been guilty of that myself. I've signed it. My wife is my better half. She reads everything. Um, it's like I've wanted to sign and she'll stop me. She'll be like, "Let's read this first." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay,
How about
makes sense."
DocuSign now? Oh my God, they make it so easy not to read. Just click, click, and you're
Yeah,
done. Okay, check the box, so to
absolutely.
speak, figuratively and literally, and you move on with your life. You don't know what you signed. You don't.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely
Click
true.
through
It is
agreements,
absolutely
click
true.
wrap agreements, things online when you clicking away and signing away all these rights. Mostly your right to a jury trial. That's the big thing you're giving up. Seventh Amendment right to a jury trial. Big darn thing. There's only 28 amendments to the Constitution. It's in the top 10, and you're just giving it away because you don't know. And what does that mean when you do? I have a video on that.
Yeah. Danny, this has been fun.
It's
I
been
know
so
that we
fun.
could probably keep going. I really could keep talking to you a lot, because I know there's just this is just a little nugget
Mhm.
of what Danny has to offer you. If you want to see more of Danny, you have to go to his website, yourlovablelawyer.com. He has the YouTube channel. I'm gonna put all the links in the show notes. But Danny, what would you like to leave people with? Because there's a lot, obviously. What do you want to tell people?
I would just encourage people to be proactive, be thoughtful, pay attention, do what they can to avoid getting victimized because it happens all the
Yeah,
time. It's rampant. Not a sinister, ugly world, but where the possibility exists, you ought to know enough to know what to look for and what to avoid. Be safe and sound
absolutely.
in your mind, your body, your finances, but also your legal wellness because it all works together. And if I can help
Mhm.
anybody achieve that, then I'll have served my purpose.
Uh, Danny, thank you so much. Thank you again.
Thank
I
you.
will put everything in the show notes. You have been phenomenal. Thank you, sir.
Uh, it was a pleasure. It was a joy. Thank you. I'm so glad we came together. So thank you, Gabe.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.